Alright gamers, today we are playing Ethan's Magcargo. Let's talk about this guy. So just to recap, if you remember Ethan's Magcargo, which to be honest, you probably don't, this is a stage 1 from Destin Rivals 130 HP. It has the ability Melt Away, which means it has a free retreat cost if it has no energy attached, and its attack Lava Burst for 3 fire energy does 70 damage times the number of fire energy with this card up to 5. So that does cap out at 350, but realistically that doesn't matter. This does in fact OHKO every relevant card in the game. You may be wondering what has changed that makes me want to play this card now as opposed to, say, any time earlier. The answer is absolutely nothing, but we did get a cool new illustration rare of Magcargo in Ascended Heroes, and this artwork I think is very lovely. I like it a lot. Here we are. This specific card for card list is my own, but it's very heavily based on a deck list from a player named Poplio King. From what I could find, this guy's pretty much only been playing Ethan's Magcargo for the past few months, which is really funny, so I figured this deck list would be a good place to work off of. Now going into the card by card here, we have 4 copies of Ethan's Ho-Oh EX. You may have seen this card in the Ho-Oh Armor Rouge box decks. The difference between those decks and this one is that those decks can actually win games. Now Ho-Oh does 2 things. A Golden Flame lets us attach up to 2 basic fire energy from our hand to one of our benched Ethan's Pokemon. I'm not sure why it's restricted to the bench. I don't think anything would break. I'm not sure what they think would happen if we could attach to our active Ethan's Pokemon. It's not that big a deal, but sure. And for 4 energy, we have Shining Feathers, which only does 160 damage, but it does heal 50 damage from everywhere on our board. So this is a solid option against spread decks. We are on 3 Ethan Slugma. This is 80 HP, so we can't use Bitey Whitey Poffin, but it does OHKO Badoo, so there's that. 3 copies of our Ethan's Magcargo, 1 copy of Ethan's Pinsir. This card has the attack Rallying Horn for 3 energy. We hit for 70 damage, or if our opponent knocked out our Ethan's Pokemon last turn, we can hit for 100 more damage. Basically, this is a good way to easily take knockouts against Zoroark or Charizard or Grimmsnarl. The rest of our Pokemon here are just utility guys. We have Psyduck, Latias EX, Mew EX, and Pheasantipity EX. We need tons of draw power in this deck, and there's no inherent draw engine, so for the trainers, we are on 4 Iono, 4 Lily's Determination, 3 Boss's Orders, 3 Ethan's Adventure. If you recall, this card lets us search for up to 3 in any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and fire energy cards, so that's a really good searcher, though it kind of feels terrible that it takes your supporter for turn, but I digress. We have 1 Lana's Aid, 4 Superior Energy Retrieval, 3 Earthen Vessel, 3 Nest Ball, 2 Ultra Ball, 1 Night Stretcher, 1 Pokepad. Prime Catcher is our ace spec here. Our energy is kind of a precious resource. We don't want to waste that on taking out single prizers, so being able to gust in an opponent's 2 prize Pokemon is very important to us. We have 2 Bravery Charm because our EXs can kind of die really easily, and we don't like that. 1 Battle Cage, 1 Team Rocket's Watchtower, and finally 11 Fire Energy closes out the list. The ideal game plan for this deck is have a Magcargo, have your Ho-Oh set up. 2 Ho-Ohs can put 4 energy onto a Magcargo. It can swing for 280, and then during your next turn, it can then retreat for free into your other attacker, and you just keep going around this circle until hopefully you overwhelm your opponent. Now in practice, are we doing that? Let's not ask too many questions here. Let's get into the games. Our first matchup here is up against a grass type deck. Obviously, since we're a fire type, we should have a really good matchup here. This is more so just a chance to see how the deck is generally supposed to operate. We're going first and we'll lead Slugma while our opponent leads Ogerpon and Chikorita. His starting hand is okay. We'll draw for turn, and the second Slugma is actually really nice. We'll bench that, we'll attach a fire energy to it and end our turn. So our opponent's move and they'll draw. They'll start off with a Teal Dance to accelerate some energy onto the Ogerpon and draw 1 card. So overall, I feel pretty good at least about the early game here. They can't use Force of Vitality turn 1. Plus, Ethan's Adventure will get us to a Ho-Oh plus energy. We can very easily attach energy onto Magcargo and take a knockout early on. Our opponent's going to bench another Ogerpon, put another energy onto it. That's fine. And now here's Dawn. Dawn does get 3 Pokemon from the deck. We're going to see him get Badoo, Bayleaf, and Meganium. That will be kind of a hassle for us. Normally the item lock is what gets you, but in this case, the fact that they retreated their Ogerpon, we can't take the knockout anymore. We draw into Boss's Orders. That's nice, but we need to use Ethan's Adventure here, so we can't use that Boss's Orders. Well, anyways, we'll go for the Adventure. We'll pick up a Ho-Oh and 2 Fire Energy. We can bench Ho-Oh. We can put a Fire Energy onto our active Slugma, evolve our bench Slugma into a Magcargo. We want to take a knockout without using too much energy here, so we actually can't evolve our active Slugma just yet, because we actually want to use Steady Fire Breathing to take out the Badoo here. A little bit awkward, but it's kind of what we need to do if we want to win. Anyway, we'll take our first prize card, and it's a Lily's Determination. That's also kind of nice here. In response, our opponent will bring in the Ogerpon. They'll start the turn by evolving Chikorita into Bayleaf, and they'll go for Ultra Ball here, pitching Ivysaur and Toedscruel, which is really interesting to me because honestly, Toedscruel kind of washes our whole deck. We rely very heavily on Superior Energy Retrieval, so getting rid of that card is a very good sight for us. They're going to bench a Pheasantipity here and use Flip the Script to get 3 more cards. They can draw off of Teal Dance, then go for Lily's Determination to get a new hand of 8 this time. Bulbasaur hits the bench, another Teal Dance up. They're just drawing for stuff here. Again, anything they play, we can just one-shot. So I imagine they're probably not too keen on bringing their Megas into the active here. They'll bench their second Chikorita. They'll play Bug Catching Set here. That gets them a Grass and a Mega Meganium. They'll attach that third Grass Energy onto the Ogerpon, and that does does allow them to take the knockout, but that's probably not what they want to see. It looks like they whiffed the Force of Vitality for now, so there's that going for us. Still, I'll be honest, I don't really like the spot for me either. We kind of have to just start off with Lose Determination. We need more cards here, and we somehow whiff the energy. Okay, that's rough. We'll Fez. Hopefully we can draw something off of this. And okay, will Pokepad, I guess. Somehow missing an energy is actually just so terrible. We'll get another Slugma. That's something, I guess. We can bench that, and then we'll just fire off the Prime Catcher here. Hopefully we can trap the Fez in the active. On our end, we'll bring in Slugma. That way, even if they can get a KO, it at least will only be for one prize card. But wow, that's terrible. We'll pass it back to our opponent, who plays down another Bailey, and then they'll keep going with Iono. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I do like the supporters we have in hand, but the hand isn't doing a lot here. And this new hand is, for the most part, a lot better. They'll continue with Bug Catching Set to get Ivysaur and Meganium. That's also just a bit rough for us because they can evolve both of those right away. And of course, they don't seem to struggle with drawing energy at all, so they'll put one onto the Fez and retreat right into the Ogerpon. Okay, no problem there. Leaf Shower takes out our Slugma again. That is once again terrible, but we'll deal with it. Our opponent takes yet another prize. Good for them. This really isn't that bad, honestly. We'll draw, we get another energy. We'll just put that onto the Magcargo. We can flip the script, see if we can get anything else that's good. Another energy and superior energy retrieval. It's good the energy's coming in now. Would have liked it last turn, but whatever. Right now, I'm just acknowledging that my Magcargo is probably not long for this world. We'll Lana's Aid to get back 2 Slugma and a fire energy, at least to help us get set up for next turn. We can bench both Slugma and then go for our Golden Flame to put some energy onto the bench Slugma. From here, I guess we'll just attack. We'll use Lava Burst, and even though we only need to discard 2 to take the knockout, I'm going to get rid of 3. The reason being that if we only discard 2 and they don't take out our Magcargo in return, we have a 1 energy Magcargo in the active and no way to retreat it, meaning that we'll just be a sitting duck. So we have to get rid of the extra energy, as terrible as that is. Out of the prizes, we get another fire energy and a Ho-Oh, which I suppose we'll take, and our opponent is going to promote their Ogerpon. Flip the script gets them even deeper into their deck, probably getting them a billion more energies as well. Down comes another Ogerpon, and finally here's the Forest, although at this point it really isn't doing anything for them. They're just emptying their hand to go for Lose Determination here. Teal Dance enables more draws, and thanks to that Meganium, the Ogerpon is now able to attack for knockout without any issue. Myriad Leaf Shower takes out our poor little Magcargo, and in response, we'll just promote our Slugma here. Again, we'll draw. Earthen Vessel is actually not terrible. Let's go for Flip the Script now, see what else we can pick up. Another Earthen Vessel, Nest Ball, and a Fire Energy. I actually really like these. Let's start with the Vessel here. I don't think we need 2 Lose Determination, so we'll get rid of 1 and get the last 2 energy from our deck to our hand. We can follow up with Ultra Ball. We can pitch the useless Vessel and a Nest Ball to get our Magcargo to the hand. We can of course throw down Magcargo. We can bench our Ho-Oh. We can attach return onto the Magcargo, and our remaining Ho-Ohs will put Fire Energies onto the Slugma on the bench. Finally, let's refill our hand a little bit. Let's go for Lose Determination and get 6 more cards, and those are honestly pretty decent. Again, we'll Lava Burst, and again we'll just get rid of everything here. We can hit for 420 damage, that's nice, and we'll bring ourselves down to just 1 prize card remaining. So this is looking honestly really good. All we need to do is get a hold of Magcargo and we win the game. The reason why I put the energy onto Slugma here and not Ho-Oh is because I figure if they bring in like a Venusaur EX and charge that up, they can survive a hit and then Oko us in return, which would be really bad here. In any case, our opponent will draw off Flip the Script first. They can bench Genesect. That's kind of awkward, means they can try to potentially bench snipe our Slugma. They'll evolve into Mega Meganium as well. Ultra Ball comes down next, pitching a Chikorita and a Meganium to get a hold of the Mega Venusaur. That will also hit the board. And finally, our opponent will Iono us down to 1 card. Well, that is honestly really bad. We need that Magcargo, and Ho-Oh is not Magcargo. The good news here is if they take a knockout, we can flip the script for 3 more cards, and from there, we're probably going to draw into what we need to win. In the meantime, our opponent's going to continue with the bug catching sets. At this point, their board is fully set up, so I really don't care that much. They do whiff the energy though, which is really good for us. They're just going to pass. We'll draw. We get superior energy retrieval, but we can't even use it, so we'll just pass it right back. Our opponent goes and plays Iono again. I don't hate this. This does get us 1 card deeper into the deck, and that Bravery Charm is not doing anything for us. Okay. They can Teal Dance to draw 1 more card. That's also a little bit scary. Once they get more energy, they can even get to attacking, but for right now, they are just going to pass turn. We'll draw again. Iono is honestly fine. We'll throw a Charm onto the Pheasantipede, and then we'll just Iono again. Hopefully we draw Magcargo off of this. And Nest Ball is actually pretty good. We can play Nest Ball and get Mew EX until our final prize card is Mew. Okay, so we can't do that. That sucks, because if we could get Mew, we probably would win this turn, but I suppose we'll settle for Latias. It means they can't trap the Fez. That's something. For now, we'll just pass back to the opponent. So since we don't have Mew, this basically just becomes a top decking war. Our opponent doesn't want to attack because they don't want us to draw off a Pheasantipede, so it ends up being a really slow few turns of just passing back and forth. Their goal is to get a bunch of energy onto Genesect and snipe the Fez, but that's just not a reasonable goal, and they don't even get very close before we draw into Magcargo and eventually manage to finish off the game. I could be bitter and blame this on the deck not having a good draw engine or whatever, but I mean, come on. I only down to 1, and our last prize card was the one card that would give us draw power. I mean, it's not really anything against the deck at this point. So our second match is up against Zoroark. We're going first, and this is probably a better example of what it looks like when things don't quite go as planned. This hand is pretty rough. We'll lead Ho-Oh, because we can't really do much else, while our opponent leads their Reshurams and Zorwas. Okay, well, so our move will draw, and that's a third energy. Cool. And in most cases, this deck might prefer to go second just so you can play your supporters turn 1, but even if we were going second, we would not be doing anything here. We just have to pass. Our opponent's going to go, and they'll draw. They'll start with the Darkness energy onto the Zorua, and they'll pass right back. So good news is, it looks like they brick too. We'll draw again, and there's Latias. That's actually kind of decent. We can use our Golden Flames to put energy onto our benched Ho-Oh. Since Latias lets us retreat for free, all we need to do is put 2 more energy on, and we will be able to attack. We'll hold this other energy in hand for now, and we'll just pass back to the opponents. They'll draw, and unfortunately they had the Zoroark in hand. Furthermore, they have End's Castle as well, so they kind of just have everything they could ever dream of. There's a Zoroark pitch and counter catcher to draw 2 more cards. They'll bench Cleffa, and they'll retreat into Cleffa this time. So luckily they don't have the energy to really attack us. They'll just grasp and draw to get a bunch of cards and end their turn. Well, it's back to us. Let's see if we can do anything here, and I mean, I guess so. We'll Golden Flame. We'll put more energy onto the Ho-Oh. I figure we kind of have to boss KO. I want to slow him down somehow. I choose to boss up the Reshiram. In retrospect, this probably wasn't correct. I should have gone for the Zorua, but in any case here, we'll still take the first prize card of the game, which is another Ho-Oh. Awesome. That still does literally nothing for us. Our opponent's, of course, going to bring in their Cleffa again. They'll start the turn off by playing the other Zoroark down. They'll put the second energy onto the first Zoroark, and now they'll just go for Secret Box. Well, with this, it almost makes it seem like there really wasn't anything we could do in the first place. Even if we took out the Zorua here, they would still get to reestablish it. They're going to Pokepad here to get a hold of a Zekrom. Zekrom comes down. Night Stretcher comes down. They'll bench Reshiram as well, just so they have an attacker no matter what, and Lily's Determination gets them a new hand. And there's Monkey Dory too. I mean, that doesn't even do anything for them right now, but it doesn't matter. It's just so much for us to deal with. And they haven't even used trade yet. Okay, they'll pitch the Poffin, so even if we knocked out the Zorua, they definitely would have gotten it back. They'll just copy Zekrom to hit for 250 and Oko our Ho-Oh. Can't do anything about that. Everyone's going to take their first 2 prize cards of the game. We'll bring in Latias. We haven't even seen a Slugma all game. This is a big issue. We draw another energy. I mean, we have 11 of them, so you have to expect this from time to time, but it's like, wow, none of these cards do anything. I just benched the Ho-Oh and pass turn. This is honestly probably a misplay. If they could charge up that bench Zoroark and retreat into it, they could very easily attack and take out the Latias, and then suddenly we're very low on options. They're going to start with a trade, pitch the Darkness, draw 2. They'll use End's PP up to attach a Darkness energy. They'll put the second one down. This is just not good at all. This really is a deck with an insane draw engine versus a deck with literally no draw engine. You can just see the difference of just how we're performing here. Their hand is huge. Their board is fully established. While we have literally nothing. They're going to get rid of their large hand to go for a smaller one. I think they're digging for End's Castle so they can retreat for free. You have the 2 energy, you could just retreat normally, but instead they're just going to choose to pass turn, which just tells you how far ahead they feel they are. We finally get a Slugma though. That's something. If we get a good supporter, maybe we can do something later on. For now, I retreat Latias into Ho-Oh. I figure I need to attack with Magcargo, so I can't promote Slugma. And Latias gives us free retreat, so we can't let that thing go down. So giving up a Ho-Oh is really the best we can do. It's back to our opponent. They're going to start off with another Lilies. They're going to Super Rod next, putting back Petron and Darumaka. Both those cards do literally nothing for them. So again, it really just shows how far ahead they are. They can make plays like that and not get punished at all. They'll keep trading. They can put a Darkness on the Monkey Dory as well. So if we don't take an Oko, we're going to be punished even harder than we already would be. Trade's going to get them even more cards. And it's like, okay, like what are we supposed to do here? They're going to go for the Night Joker. They can again take out the Ho. They're down to just 2 prize cards. Genuinely, what have we been able to do all game? We've been able to attack once. We haven't seen the Slugma. We don't have good ways to search it out. It's just, it feels so terrible. And this is just something that does happen quite a lot with this deck. Anyway, we'll bring in Latias and begin our turn. There's Mew. That's potential for something. We'll bench Mew. We'll play Stretcher next. We can get back Ho-Oh. We'll bench the Ho-Oh. We'll manually attach the fire energy onto Slugma here, and then Mew will let us draw 3 cards. Hopefully it's something playable, and that's not bad at all, actually. We can go for Lilies next, and all of a sudden we have something we can actually do here. These new cards are good enough for our purposes. We'll Nest Ball. We have to get Fez. We are missing energy here, so we have to draw into something there. We'll see what we can do, and we hit the Superior Energy Retrieval, so things are finally looking up for us. We can bench the Magcargo here. Earthen Vessel comes down, getting us more energy. Might as well pitch the Ho-Oh. If any of our Ho-Ohs on board go down, we lose anyway. We'll grab 2 off of Earthen Vessel. Then Superior comes down. We'll pitch a Boss and a Fire Energy. I don't know if that's totally correct, but it seems right to me. We'll get our 4 Fire Energy into the hands. Now we can accelerate a good number onto our Magcargo here. And now with 4 energy on Magcargo, we can very easily retreat into it. We can attack with Lava Burst, and that is a one-shot. That does take out the Zoroark. We'll take 2 more prize cards, and now all we have to do is hope our opponent doesn't draw into Boss's orders, even though they have 9 cards in hand as well as trade. But who knows, right? They're going to retreat into Zoroark, then they can throw down boss's orders, and oh, that's the end of the game. Okay. Once again, Night Joker will swing for 250, and down goes our poor old Pheasantipity. Really not a great showing here. So that was kind of a really sad showing. Let's try again. Here we are against Zoroark once more. Notice how the only thing on ladder right now are Zoroark and decks that hit it for weakness. In any case, we're going first again, and oh my gosh, good hand. Alright, well, this looks good. We'll lead Ho-Oh, and we'll see what we can do. Alright, we draw an energy for turn. That's fine. Let's start off simple. We'll go for Pokepad. We'll get our Slugma from the deck. Let's bench that. Then we can use Golden Flame to put 2 energy on it. And honestly, we can just call it there. Our opponent's going to go. The good news is the Slugma will be alive for a turn. We have Ultra Ball to get Magcargo. I feel pretty good so far. They bench Zoroark, then Buddy Plopper to get 2 more Zoroark. They'll put a Darkness on the bench, and they'll go for Lilies to get a new hand. I feel like we've seen this a bajillion times at this point. Nestbell grabs them their Zekrom, and that's it for their turn. So that's a little bit concerning. They're very close to being set up and ready to attack, but also, I mean, I still feel pretty good for this. We draw Ho-Oh for turn, which is alright. This is still a little bit awkward. We can start with Ultra Ball here. We'll pitch the Earthen Vessel and the Ho-Oh to get a hold of Magcargo. We can bench Magcargo, attach our energy for turn to it, and now we have to go for Lilies. We desperately need Latias, our way to search it out, and oh my gosh, there it is. Beautiful. Okay, well, we'll bench Latias. We can retreat with Ho-Oh into the Magcargo. We can attack with Lava Burst. I think we can get away with just detaching 1 this time around, and we'll take out that Zoroark. That gets us our first prize card of the game, and Lily's Determination would honestly be a pretty good one if we didn't already have 2 in the hand. Anyhow, our opponent's back up. They're going to charge up their Zoroark and then Prime Catcher to bring it into the active. That's a little bit scary. They're going to Iono next. That's going to completely destroy our hands, but at the same time, we didn't have too much there anyway. This new hand is not the worst thing ever, I guess. Unfortunately, they get their Zoroark off of the Iono. They can evolve into it and use trade, pitching the Darkness energy to draw 2. And now here comes End's PP up to charge up the Zoroark on the bench. They'll bench a Petron as well. I don't really see why you're doing that so early, but sure. And Zoroark can attack and take an easy Oko on our Ho-Oh. Well, not much to do here. Let's just bring in Latias and begin our turn. Boss's Orders is fine, but I'd rather take out the active Zoroark than anything else, so I don't think I need to use that. We'll Nestball here. We can get Pheasantipity online just to get some more card draw going. Next, Flip the Script gets us 3 cards. Those aren't bad at all. Of course, Lana's Aid is an option, but we really don't need to use it anymore. We have everything we need in hand already. We'll just Night Stretcher to get back the Ho-Oh. We can bench Ho-Oh and go for Golden Flame to put 2 energy onto that Magcargo. We'll throw down Battle Cage just for the fun of it. And now here's Iono. I want to cut their hand down to 4 cards because they're not going to have any Zoroarks online, which means if they whiff Zoroark off of this draw, we'll be so far ahead that we probably just win. Now we can retreat Latias into Magcargo. We can go for our Lava Burst again. We'll discard all of our energy and take a very easy knockout on that Zoroark. And another Ho-Oh off the prizes is nice as well. Our opponent's going to promote Zoroark and begin their turn. But again, if they don't hit a Zoroark here, we do probably just win. They literally just pass. Oh my gosh, that's so good for us. Okay, we can draw here. I'll save a bit of time. I go through my turn essentially trying to establish not only an attacker for this turn, but also an attacker for next turn, just to retaliate in case they end up getting Zoroark plus Iono online next turn. The end result of this is that we have a Pinsir in the active, as well as a Magcargo with 2 energy on the bench. Now we can just attack with Rallying Horn to take out the Zoroark, and next turn we can just retreat into Magcargo, and I feel like we're in a pretty good spot with Fez in our hand and everything to probably handle whatever our opponent throws at us. But in any case, it doesn't really matter that much. By this point, our opponent is already long gone. Even if they stayed to play it all out, I feel like we were pretty favored to win there. So suddenly I feel a little bit better. At least it's a better performance than before. And we're back. How do we do? This deck feels really bad. I don't know what I should be doing differently here. The deck feels very clunky and awkward. We need Latias, yes, because Ho-Oh has an insane retreat cost. Like, anything goes into our active, we're kind of cooked, so we need Latias here. Magcargo can only retreat for free with its ability, meaning that we kind of have to use all of our energy every time we attack. Otherwise, we're kind of just stranded with a weaker Magcargo in the active. The other big issue is Ethan's Slugma. This is 80 HP, so we can't get it with Poffin. So you have to either use a Nestball or a Pokepad or whatever, and it's so hard to actually get set up. We need to get a hold of it. Maybe the way to go is to throw a Badoo in here, then you have something to do going second, and that's probably a lot better. In fact, I'm not really sure if there's a particular reason they gave Magcargo the illustration rare when Sudowoodo has seen actual real competitive play and it has not gotten anything. But again, I guess none of that's really too important. Main takeaway here, this deck kind of sucks. When it gets going, it's really fun. It's probably just worse Raging Bolt, and it also becomes unplayable after rotation thanks to superior energy retrieval rotating. Now with all that said, there's at least one thing we can agree on. This deck is at least better than Mega Charizard. Thank you.